Welcome to the Candle Business Coach podcast. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I am the Candle Business Coach. I'm also a mum of three and a kindness advocator. This podcast is all about making and selling candles, business development, and mindset, delivered to you with advice, inspiration, and motivation in a new episode every Friday. This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection, and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. I'm so excited for today's episode because it's a celebration of the fact that the podcast has now over 100 episodes. Can you believe it? I know that we only just celebrated the 1-year anniversary not that long ago, but I wanted to do a special episode where I would answer your questions but basically you'd have an opportunity to ask questions and then I would answer them throughout this episode. So before we get started, I wanted just to mention, in case you didn't notice, we have a new intro for the podcast. So if you didn't catch it, that's okay. Pause this, rewind, have a listen, and then let me know what you think by sending me an Instagram DM. I'm found at Candle Business Coach. So in regards to today's episode, about a week or two ago, I sent out some messages to my email list, my social media, people that have been on the podcast before, and also people that are in the Facebook group, the Candle Business Hub, asking for questions to be recorded that I could then answer on the podcast, and you can hear your voice on the podcast, which is always very exciting. But we had one question come through via message. So I'll start with that one first and then we'll get into audio. This question comes from Sue from Revamped Treasures. A question for you. That's a tough one. Let me start by saying that what you have done with your podcast is amazing. I generally think people think candle making and selling is as easy as buying a kit and turning up at a market. So listening to your podcast makes people think about everything else that should be done: insurance, testing, costing, and so on. Now, my question. After seeing and talking to so many candle makers, do you think there will ever be a day where the candle making industry will have firm safety rules and guidelines, say like legal requirements, before you can sell? Cheers from Sue, the slightly crazy candle maker. I love that. Thank you, Sue, for your kind words. I so appreciate you taking the time to write this message to me and ask your question. So in regards to your question, whether I believe there will be any firm rules and regulations in the candle making industry, to be honest, yes, I do think it's coming. I do feel that this is something that is not that far into the future and is something that all candle makers need to be aware of. I will bring your attention to Aussie Candle Supplies. They've actually written a charter of responsibility. I'll leave a link for it in the show notes. And it basically just gives you a nice overview of the sorts of things and integrity that you should have as a candle maker. It's not obviously a strict guideline. It's a really nice way to make sure that you're acting with integrity and doing the best for your customer and making safe products for your customer and for yourself. So now on to the audio questions. In no particular order, we are starting with Caleb from Sperry Honey.
Hey, Kirsty, congratulations on 100 episodes. My question would be, what is the best wax for candle making?
Great question. Thank you so much, Caleb. It really comes down to each individual candle maker and what they're looking for in their particular candles. So whether you go for 100% soy, if you go for a soy blend such as a coconut soy, whether you use beeswax, which I know you're a huge fan of, being from Sperry Honey, it really does depend on what sort of candles you want to create, what sort of results you're looking for, and what you believe in as what's important for your products and for what your customers want as well.
Hi, Kirsty. Just wanting to congratulate you on your 100th episode. It's Marie from Raw Marrow. And my question is, if you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be, and how do you think that experience might inspire or influence your work as a candle business coach?
Thank you, Marie. Such a thought-provoking question. And to be honest, I had to do a little bit of research to see which historical figure resonated with me the most. And I did, of course, what we all do when we need to learn something is we do a bit of a Google search. So thank you for inspiring me to learn a little bit more about history. I would have loved to have had a conversation with Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher. Having a conversation with someone who is passionate about human nature and morality and thinking deep thoughts and questioning and reflecting and seeking truth is very much where I am in my personal growth journey. And I feel that the candle makers I speak to regularly are also on that journey of wanting to discover more about who they are and how they can best contribute to the world through their candle business and in life in general. So if I'd had the opportunity to speak to Socrates, I would have asked lots of questions about just human nature and life in general, and just have a beautiful conversation around this amazing world that we live in. How it would influence my coaching business? I think when we uncover what we believe in and who we are as a person, it unlocks something in ourselves to want to give back to society and want to give back to others in ways that we may not have been aware of before. So coaching people through their candle business, it's not just about candles. It's very much about learning more about themselves, how they process their emotions, their thoughts, their feelings, and then being able to remove any barriers or any hurdles that they're experiencing is one of the joys of being the candle business coach and helping people along their journey.
Hi, Kirsty. My question is, after 100 episodes of your podcast and being a candle coach, what have you learned?
Thank you, beautiful Gemma, for your question. So what have I learned after 100 episodes and being the candle business coach? Gosh, I love this question. It's really made me reflect on what I have learned over the last year and a bit now that the podcast has been running, and a year and a bit that I've been the candle business coach. I think first and foremost that perfection is overrated. It's more about authenticity and connection to yourself and to others. When I first started the podcast, I didn't know what I was doing. I read from a script word for word because I didn't, I guess, at the time, trust my voice, trust myself to know what to say and what messages I wanted to impart on the listeners. So rather than sit in a space of overwhelm and perfection and paralysis, I decided, and it is very much making a decision, I decided to just hit record and give it my best. And I hope I've improved from episode 1 to now episode 101. So yeah, definitely perfection is overrated. The second thing I've learned is that the technology, the actual tech, so the microphone, the software, the headphones, all the things, it can all be learned, and it does become second nature after a while. When I first started, I bought the microphone and I stared at it and I was like, what do all these buttons do and all these dials, and did I buy the right one, and all the research that goes into it. It's such an involved process just to get started with the podcast, but then learning the software, the editing programs, how to upload the audio, edit the audio, all the different parts, it just becomes a list of tasks to complete after you've learned them. And then once you do it a few times, it just becomes second nature. So I love that I've learned to embrace the technology and try new things. Another thing I've learned is this, sorry, I shouldn't laugh because it's funny, but it's not funny to me anyway, is that people are actually really nervous. Not everyone, but people generally are nervous when we hit record on the podcast and I interview them. So for me, because I do this every week and it's become second nature, I forget sometimes that when I'm interviewing people, it's like an interview, and that can be really nerve-wracking for some. So something I've learned is to, and I think this is the way I've approached it from the beginning anyway, but something I've learned is to just be really gentle and kind with the people that are gracing me with their presence on being on the podcast. So I love that I get to do this. I was going to say job, but that's not really a job. It's just this passion. I love that I get to do this passion and be passionate about the podcast and the candle business coach business. So the fact that people want to come on the podcast with me is such a joy, and I feel so blessed and so grateful. And it's interesting. I feel it's interesting that people are nervous, but it is understandable as well.
Hi Kirsty, it's Alicia. I just wanted to ask who you go to when you need support for things, because us candle makers all come to you. So do you have a business coach? Do you have someone you can go to?
Thank you, Alicia from Sweet Soy Candle Co. for your question. So who supports me? Well, I have a very supportive partner who loves to hear me talk about candle making and candle businesses and marketing and Instagram and emails and all the different aspects of being the candle business coach. And he very much shares the joy and excitement that I experience when something positive happens in the business, and he helps encourage and motivate me when things don't always go to plan. So I'm very grateful for my partner. From a professional point of view, I'm actually a member of a group of coaches and entrepreneurs that are wanting more from life and wanting to experience the best business that they can create. So that network that I've tapped into is very much helpful and encouraging and supportive. If I have any questions along my journey, if I have a candle maker come to me or a business owner that comes to me and has questions that I don't necessarily know the answer to, I can then speak to this network of coaches and get support, which is incredible.
Hi Kirsty, it's Chrissy from Blossom Gum Soapery. My question is, how can I effectively differentiate my candle products in a competitive environment? And I do have another question. I was thinking about if you could give us some tips to optimize the production process of making candles to increase efficiency and reduce costs without compromising on quality. And just thinking about those two things.
Thank you, lovely Chrissy, for your questions. To answer the first part, how can I differentiate my candles and my candle business in a competitive environment? It's a really great question, and it's one that I'm often asked from different candle makers that want to stand out amongst the noise of all the various candles and candle makers that are in the industry. The first thing you need to be aware of or understand is that there's only so many different ways that we can make candles. There's only so many different types of labels or colors of labels. There's only so many different ways that we can make candles, whether they're pillar or container, for example. So it comes down to marketing, and it comes down to showing the customer who you are behind the brand. So it's not just about the product, it's about you as well. How can you share your story? How can you weave your journey into your marketing and into your social media and emails and various methods to help your customers get to know you and get to know, like, and trust you as a person, so that they feel comfortable and feel excited about purchasing your products over someone else's. So it's not necessarily about having the most unique candle, not necessarily about having the most prettiest candle, because as we know, we can buy beautiful candles from the big stores any day of the week. But for someone to invest their money in a handmade product, a handmade candle, it's about the connection that they have with you, the business owner, not just the actual products. And to answer your second question, how to optimize the candle making process and the production to increase efficiency and reduce costs without compromising quality, it's very much about being organized and doing things in a streamlined fashion. So I want you to zoom out and have a look at how you're currently making candles and see if there are ways that you can implement to become more efficient. So for example, if you are making candles one by one as opposed to making them in batches, that's obviously something that you can look at to improve your efficiency. Making sure that you're doing things in a logical process, a logical order. So pulling out all the supplies, making sure everything's ready to go, cleaning everything, putting the wicks in, heating up the wax as a first step if you've got a wax melter, because that will take the longest amount of time. You can prepare other things at the same time. And then in terms of reducing costs, when you're in a position to buy supplies in bulk, that will significantly reduce the amount that you're spending on your cost of goods. So being able to save up a little bit of money and buying things in bulk will reduce costs for your business overall. And then when it comes to any subscriptions that you have, for example, your website costs, your business registration, your insurance, anything that's costing you money for your business, if you're able to pay annually as opposed to monthly. You can reduce costs in that way. And also looking at your costings and what you're actually buying for your business or what you're actually spending money on, and seeing if any of those costs or expenses can be reduced or completely eliminated. So it's about zooming out and looking at the business and working on the business in that way.
Hi, Kirsty. It's Jackie from Cavendish Avenue. Congratulations on 100 episodes. That's insane. So proud of you. My question for you is, what do you think allows longevity in a business in such a saturated market as candle making? I'd really be interested in your thoughts.
Thanks, Jackie, for your question. I love that you've brought up the fact that the candle industry is a saturated market. This is something that many candle makers are concerned about as to whether they'll find success, given that there are lots of competitors making candles that may look similar, that may have similar fragrance options to them. So what allows longevity is the fact that you need to be able to pivot, and you need to be able to grow, and you need to be able to learn along your journey. I've said this in the podcast many, many times, but it does bear repeating. Your personal growth journey is in direct alignment with your professional or your business growth. So if you want your business to grow, you must be prepared and willing to go on a personal growth journey as well. So that means that when you come up against a challenge, you don't just give up. You don't, throw in the towel and just say it's all too hard, I'm going to go watch TV instead of working on my business. It's about having that self-discipline. It's about having motivation, and it's about having knowledge in the fact that you're not going to know everything when you first start your business. And even as you go along and grow along your business, you will be required to learn new things and pivot along the way. So if you want to be in business for a long time, particularly in a market that is saturated, such as the candle industry, you need to be agile. And I think when you're agile and you're willing to learn new things and step outside your comfort zone and push your boundaries a little bit or a lot, it helps to give yourself an edge when it comes to the actual business. So when it comes to your candles, you need to be listening to your customers and hearing their feedback and pivoting and making decisions based on what your customers are saying. Now, that doesn't mean you just make a new fragrance just because one person at the market said that they wanted a particular fragrance that you didn't have. It's about doing that market research and understanding what your ideal customer actually wants from your candles and wants from your business, and being able to deliver that in the best way possible.
Hi, Christy. It's Nikki. I was wondering if you're able to give me some advice on how to do candles with glitter in them, because I've tried to do it and each time I do it, the glitter sinks to the bottom. So I don't know if there's a specific way I have to do it. If you're able to if you know which way, that would be very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki, for your question. Now, I personally haven't made candles using glitter, and I know that this is a bit of a controversial topic as to whether people use glitter or botanicals or any other additions in their candles, but let's park that discussion to the side. What you're asking is for the best way to make candles with glitter. So what I would recommend you do is jump into the Candle Business Hub Facebook group and ask your question there. I know that there are a few candle makers that use glitter in their candles, and I'm sure they'll be able to give you the best advice possible.
Hi, Kirsty. It's Peter from Happy Flame. Congratulations on your 100th episode. Fantastic. Question for you. What's the biggest challenge for candle makers in the coming 12 months? Just thought I'd see what you see for the future.
Thanks, Peter, for your great question. What's the biggest challenge for candle makers in the next 12 months? It's a really good question. It's made me think about the current challenges that many of the candle makers are facing when it comes to supplies. So actually sourcing jars and lids and even some fragrance oils as well from some of the big suppliers, which is a challenge, especially as we're coming up to Christmas and not being able to fulfill orders or make product to take to markets. So that's definitely a challenge. One challenge that I've noticed over the last year, and this will be ongoing in the next 12 months and till the end of time, is the mindset piece. So there are only so many challenges that are external to us, but it's more the internal challenges that can really wreak havoc with us making progress in our business. So if you suffer from imposter syndrome, a fear of failure, a fear of success, feeling that you're not worthy, and all the other types of fears and hurdles that can be in our mind. It's these intangible challenges that can really stop us in our track when we are making or not making progress in our business, because, as I said earlier, things can seem a bit too hard. And it's easier just to say, oh, I won't work on the business today. I'm just gonna watch TV instead, or sit on my phone and scroll social media. So the mindset piece is huge, and that's where it's really important to connect in with people that can support you and encourage you and help motivate you. That's one of the things I love about my membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective, because we're a group of candle makers that support, nurture, and encourage each other and help motivate each other when we need that support. And we all need support at different points and different times in our life, depending on what's going on in our personal life and what's going on in our business life. So yeah, supplies is definitely a challenge for candle makers, and the mindset piece as well.
Hey Kirsty, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned from your experiences in the candle industry, and how has it influenced your coaching approach?
Thank you, Jess from Ezio & Co. for your wonderful question. I love being able to reflect on life in general and what we experience in our day-to-day and in our business. So being able to think about the most valuable lesson I've learned from my experience in the candle industry and then how it's influenced my coaching approach. Brilliant question. I love it. I think for me, the most valuable lesson I've learned is that all of us are doing our best. All of us are trying, and all of us are pushing ourselves to become the best that we can be and to search for more on our journey. And I think when you realize that when we're all just trying to figure this thing called life out, and we're just trying to be the best version of ourselves, and that everyone's doing the best that they can do at any given point in time, it's very much about treating others with kindness and respect and space. So bearing that in mind, how it's influenced my coaching approach is to take a step back and try to put myself in the shoes of the person that I'm speaking with or that I'm coaching, and trying to see things from their point of view, but then also giving them a different perspective of things to think about and looking at life in different ways. So it's about that ebb and flow and balance and tilt between listening to what they're experiencing and then giving advice and also supporting them on their journey.
Hey, awesome Kirsty. I'm so curious, what inspires you on a day-to-day basis and keeps you motivated in your business?
Thank you, beautiful Jennifer, for your incredibly inspiring question. I love this question. I love being able to think about what keeps us going on a day-to-day basis and what keeps us motivated in our business, because everyone has different motivators, and this question allows me to share what my motivator is and why I continue to show up daily on social media and show up for my community and be in the business and be motivated no matter what's happening outside of the business. So to be honest, it wasn't that long ago when I was really unhappy with life and was basically in a state of depression, a state of overwhelm. It took a lot of therapy and a lot of self-reflection and introspection to get to a point where I realized that I was stagnant in my life. I wasn't learning anything and I wasn't growing. And that space of feeling like there's nothing else left to learn or know or discover can be really disheartening. So once I'd realized these things, and with, as I said, with the help of therapy as well, I discovered that what was missing in my life, what I was lacking, was a passion, was direction, and was a way to support and help other people, because that to me is one of my values, supporting others. And knowing that it took 36, 37 years to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and what I wanted to contribute to the world and help people through their challenges. It just happens to be candle makers. It happens to be a beautiful community of people that are running their candle businesses. And I know that they struggle day to day, different times, different people, different reasons, different seasons. But knowing that and I hope this doesn't sound egotistical, but knowing that my presence and by me showing up and providing and supporting and being a positive person, someone that is kind, someone that offers motivation and inspiration, That motivates me because I'm helping to motivate others.
Hello, beautiful Kirsty. My question for you is, in your experience, what key elements or strategies have you observed in highly successful candle businesses that consistently set them apart from others in the market?
Thank you, darling Felicity, for your question. Great question. Actually, all of these questions have been incredible. I've been very spoiled in this episode with these incredible questions from all these beautiful people. So thank you, everyone, for your questions. I hope you, the listener, are enjoying this episode as much as I am creating this. It's been a real blast having the questions come in and listening to them and then thinking of how I want to respond. So yeah, thank you, everyone, for your questions. But Felicity, your question. In my experience, what key elements or strategies have I observed in highly successful candle businesses? It's a great question, and I think a lot of people will have their notepad and pen ready for my answer or ready for some tips and advice. The number one key element or strategy is consistency. Was it what you were expecting? Perhaps, perhaps not. You must be consistent in your business. You can't come in and out and dibble and dabble, weeks on, weeks off, and expect to get the results that successful businesses are getting. You need to be sharing your journey and weave that story into the marketing, which I mentioned earlier, and get people to learn, know, like, and trust you as the person behind your business. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be constantly learning and growing and pivoting as things change in the industry, needing to be able to adapt and be agile. But yes, as I said, the number one tip is definitely being consistent in your business, and that is extremely hard. I'm not saying that it's something that everyone is an expert at. It's something that you can learn and grow with, but by being consistent, you build up momentum, you continue your motivation, and you build that habit of showing up for your business. And that could be doing research on how to make the perfect candle, but then implementing that knowledge. It's not just about learning and soaking up information. You actually need to take action. It's not about perfection, and it's certainly not about doing things right the first time. We all have to start and learn somewhere, right? So by being consistent in your business, people can expect you to show up in their social media feeds, showing up in their email inbox, and showing that you're taking your business seriously, I think, is a really good point as well.
If you were to create a checklist for a candle business that's just about to launch, what would be the top 5 things on that checklist that we should be ticking off before our launch date?
Thank you, beautiful Nicole from Aussie Insurance, for your question. So a checklist for a business that is about to launch. Well, if you're about to launch, I'm assuming you've done all the groundwork first, but if you haven't, let this be a reminder to get these 5 points sorted before you launch your business. Number 1, you need to do your market research. So you need to understand who your ideal customer is, and no, not everyone is your ideal customer. You need to also understand what products and what fragrances to offer and how many as well. So do your research and make sure that you're clear on who your ideal customer is and what they want from your products. Number 2 is to get clear on your brand identity. So that means taking some time to journal your thoughts and your visions and your goals and your dreams for your business, and make it clear as to what you want your brand to be. Are you going to be a premium brand? Are you going to be a cheaper offering that is more accessible to more people? It really depends on who your ideal customer is as well, which I mentioned in point number 1. Point number 3 is to get your insurance sorted, register your business name, and also get an ABN. These are all things that you should be doing before launch. That way everything is in place for when the business does launch. Number 4 is to have your website set up so that people can actually buy your beautiful products when you launch your business. And number 5 is to actually share the journey from the beginning. So you want to build up that social media following of potential customers that are excited to buy from you when you launch. If you keep everything a secret and don't share anything, and then you launch and no one knows about your business, the results can be a little bit disheartening. So make sure you're sharing the journey along the way of why did you choose the particular scents that you've chosen, and why did you choose the particular wax that you've chosen, and giving some details and some features and benefits of the different products that you offer, and weaving in your story at the same time so people can get excited for you and that they're more likely to buy from you because you've built up that know, like, and trust relationship with them before you've actually launched.
Hi Kirsty, it's Kylie from Tiny Giraffe Art and Design Studio. Congratulations on 100 episodes. My question for you is, if you wanted a scent in your home that wasn't from a candle, what would you choose?
Thank you, Kylie, for your question. It's such a good one, but it's a really hard one to answer because there are literally like hundreds and hundreds of different fragrances that you can get and make in a candle. So if I was to say, I wanted a birthday cake smell in the house without having to bake, you can get that in a candle. If I said I wanted a Christmas pudding, you can get that in a candle. If I wanted fresh linen, you can get that in a candle. So it's really hard to answer. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so I want a nice scent in the home, but not in a candle. And to be honest, I just can't think of an answer. I think, to be fair, I'm a huge advocate of candles. And so it's not just the fragrance that the candle offers, it's definitely the ambience and just that symbolic moment of, I finished cleaning the house, you light a candle, or I'm going to have a nice bubble bath, light a candle, or I've got friends and family over for a dinner party, I want to light a candle. So candles to me are so much more than just the scent. And thank you for stumping me. I don't know how to answer that question.
Hey Christy, congratulations on celebrating 100 episodes of the Candle Business Coach podcast. I'm super excited for you. My question is, what has been your biggest learning curve to date, personal and professional?
Thank you, Melanie, for your kind words and for your question. My biggest learning curve personally is that, and this has taken a bit of time to learn, and I guess I'm still learning it in some ways, is that it's important to take breaks and it's important to spend some time away from your business so that you can recharge and refocus, and also spend time journaling my thoughts and visions and dreams and goals to really make sure I'm tapping into the essence of why I'm doing what I'm doing, rather than running on autopilot and becoming complacent and not actually being present. So that's something that I'm learning personally. And then professionally, I'm learning to acknowledge my achievements and actually celebrate the wins that I have in my business. I'm often going from one task to the next, ticking things off a list and being productive and achieving things, but then I don't actually take a step back to stop and celebrate the fact that I'm achieving things that I set goals for myself in the past. So professionally, I'm learning to do that in the business, but I think that's personally as well.
Hi Kirsty, Elaine from Go For It Girl Entrepreneur, and my question for your 100th podcast episode, obviously it's going to be video related. What is your favourite video that you like to create the best?
Thanks, Elaine, for your lovely question. I love creating video where it's me talking to the camera and I can make a connection with the people that are actually watching the videos. So I recently completed a 365-day challenge on my Instagram where every day for a year I showed up and asked a question from a list and then gave an answer. And that was really great because it gave me an opportunity to not only learn a little bit more about myself, but connecting with my followers and people that were watching the stories. So I like to talk to camera. I know not everyone does enjoy that or have done that before, but that's something I really enjoy because it pushes me outside my comfort zone. It gives me the butterflies in my tummy and it helps me grow as a person.
Congratulations on releasing 100 episodes. My question is, what's your most memorable moment or biggest takeaway so far?
Thank you, Ellen from Grounded Marketing, for asking such an epic question. One of my most memorable moments would be the moment I decided, and this has happened a couple of times, so it's not really just one moment, but it's where I had the epiphany or the realization or the dream rather of wanting to message a few different people to have guests on the podcast. And you're sitting there, you've written the message, you reread it 100 times to make sure it's, quote unquote perfect. And then you just push send. You just take the imperfect action. And then what's really incredible is getting a response from the people that I wanted to have on the podcast and them saying yes, and then creating episodes with them to share with the listeners. So that's definitely a memorable moment. Is quite a few of the guests I've had on the podcast I was nervous about asking, and then when they said yes, it just totally made my day.
Hello, Kirsty. This is Jess Soto Ramirez, Empowerment Coach for Women in Business. To kick off, I just want to say a huge congratulations, because reaching 100 episodes is incredibly brilliant. We both know what it takes to create a podcast, and the fact that you've gotten to 100 episodes, I commend you for that, and you should be so incredibly proud of yourself. So well done. My question to you is, based on your life experience and based on the lessons you've had and the life you have lived, if there were words of wisdom that you could share with your listeners to inspire, empower, and encourage them to keep going with life and their business, what would those words be? Sending you so much love.
Jess, thank you so much for your kind words and acknowledgement of the fact that 100 episodes of the podcast is a really big achievement. And as I said in one of my previous answers, it's been hard for me to take a step back and acknowledge and appreciate what I've achieved and how far I've come on my journey. So thank you for reminding me to do that. And yeah, I just so appreciate you. And I love your podcast as well, the Ignite podcast with Jess Soto Ramirez, and all the beautiful lessons and words of wisdom that you share in your podcast episodes is inspiring to me, and it empowers me to keep going and helps encourage me as well. So thank you for all that you do and for asking your question on my podcast for my 100 episode celebration. So if there were any words of wisdom that I want to share with the listeners to inspire and motivate them to keep going, it would definitely be this: you are absolutely worthy of everything that you dream about in this life. We're on this planet for such a short time, and the challenges that we can face, both internal and external, can derail us from our goals. But knowing that you are worthy and that your dreams matter, your desires matter, and that you matter as a person is enough of a reason to continue to try and go after what you want in your life. The point of life is to enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and to do the things that light you up and inspire you so that you can cast out that ripple effect to others around you and encourage them to do the same. So with your candle business, every candle that you make, every candle that you sell makes a difference. It's the dinner party that the customer has with their family. It's the bubble bath that they have after a really rough day, and they light your candle and can relax and rejuvenate and feel calm and centered. You're a pivotal part in that journey, and that's why it's so important to share who you are behind the scenes and share who you are as the business owner of the brand that you've created. So never give up. Always continue to try, and know that there is support, love, and guidance around you. It's in me as the candle business coach. It's in your family, your friends, your support network. Lean on the people that are around you if you need help, and never forget how important you are. And on that note, we will end this episode with a big thanks to everyone that submitted a question. Sue, Caleb, Marie, Gemma, Alicia, Chrissy, Jackie, Nikki, Peter, Jess, Jennifer, Felicity, Nicole, Kylie, Melanie, Elaine, Ellen, and Jess Soto Ramirez. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being part of this very special podcast episode. It was a pleasure creating it, and I hope that it brings you so much joy, a couple of laughs perhaps, a big smile on your face, and it just brightens your day a little bit. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to today's episode, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you, my friend, for listening to this episode. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout the conversation, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you're feeling inspired, I would love it if you would write a review for the podcast and give a 5-star rating. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful day.